let my affair partner record us in his office. His revenge played it at my company's award dinner. Hello, I'm Natalie, and I lost my husband because I thought he was too oblivious and too nice. I had been cheating on my husband with my coworker Damien for a while, but the night that the things that would destroy me began to take shape was a night like any other. It was nothing special. Damien and I had met up in a hotel we regularly hooked up in. Whenever I paid for the hotel room, I paid in cash because I didn't want any evidence or bank receipts. That was how careful I was. Damien paid with his card whenever he was paying, but that was of no consequence to me. That day, I got to the hotel first, so I paid and waited for Damien in the hotel room. When he arrived, he closed the door, threw his bag to the side, and came at me. He told me that he had been missing me all day, and before I could tell him that I missed him as well, he kissed my lips very passionately. We began taking our clothes off, and soon enough, we were in bed, in each other's arms. After that first round, we were still in each other's embrace, talking and laughing. Nothing could have prepared me for the next thing that Damien said. He first told me that he missed me so much, and that he felt like he couldn't breathe. Then he said that he wanted something to remember me by, something that he could look at whenever he missed me that much. I asked him what he wanted, and he reached for my panties and sniffed it, then said he'd take that. I was shocked, but I was flattered. I told him that he could keep it. He thanked me and kissed me. I didn't know that I had given him the first piece of evidence that would drag me down in the future. The next day, I was in a meeting with a junior colleague at work in my office when Damien knocked twice and opened the door. He didn't even wait for me to answer the door before he opened it. He looked like he was having a panic attack, so I asked what was wrong. He told me that something urgently needed my attention. I told him that I was busy and asked if the urgency couldn't wait. He told me that it couldn't. I told my junior colleague, who I was in a meeting with, to come back later for us to finish the meeting. Then I followed Damien. Damien led me to his office, and after I entered his office, I asked what was so important and urgent that it couldn't wait for a few minutes. By the time I turned to look at him, he had locked his office door. He told me that he needed my attention intimately and urgently. I couldn't believe it. He called me out of my meeting just to sleep with me. I chuckled and called him crazy. He said he was crazy for me. He unbuckled his belt and pulled his pants down. Then he took his phone and turned on the camera. I asked him what he was doing, and he told me that the panties I gave him only turned him on, and that he needed something more tangible. I was hesitant, but I understood, so I went down on him, and he recorded me. We made love right there in his office, and he recorded everything. After I left his office, I felt so good that I paid for lunch for my coworkers when we went out to eat. When I got home that evening, my husband Marcus was already there. He didn't look too happy, so I asked him what was wrong. Apparently, his boss wanted him to come back to work that evening. My husband worked in a tech company. I never knew exactly what he did for work. I just knew that he was one of the big tech guys in the company. We had planned to see a movie that night, and I knew that him going back to work meant he was going to spend the night there or come back very late at night. I told him that his boss was a soulless machine, and that he didn't need to obey him at every turn. I played the supporting wife role very well. He laughed and kissed me, telling me that he had to go. He just needed to freshen up, then he'd be on his way. We got into the shower together, and we had a good time together. After he finished taking his bath, he left the bathroom while I stayed to apply my skincare products. By the time I was done and came out of the bathroom, my husband had left the house. I got into bed and I checked my phone. I had a message from Damien. He was telling me that he had watched the video he made of us several times. He told me that I was great with my tongue and that the things I did with my waist were just mind-blowing. He called me naughty. I blushed and laughed like I was a teenage girl experiencing her first crush. I texted him back telling him to stop being naughty. Marcus didn't come back that night, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting him to. He was really good at his job, and his boss was taking advantage of that. Well, at least the man paid well. In the morning, I looked for my car keys for a while, and when I couldn't find them, I tried calling my husband to see if he knew where they were. But his number wasn't reachable. That made absolutely no sense. My husband prioritized being able to reach him at any time, so I couldn't believe that I couldn't reach him. I was already late for work and I was getting frustrated, but then I got a call from Damien. I immediately picked the call and asked him if anyone was looking for me in the office. But the voice that answered wasn't Damien. It was my husband, Marcus. I froze. At first, I was thankful that I didn't say anything that would have revealed my infidelity with Damien. But then, I was scared. Why was my husband with Damien's phone? That was the question I asked my husband, followed by a series of other questions. He told me he wanted to come see me at work before he went home, but I wasn't at work and he lost his phone at work. So he used my coworker's phone to call me. I exhaled in relief, and I told him that I was still at home because I couldn't find my car keys. He told me a few places to check, and I found my keys in one of the places he suggested. He said he was going to wait for me in my office. I quickly drove to work, and I met Damien at the entrance of the office building. I asked him why my husband came to ask for his phone in particular, out of everyone in the office. He told me that they met in the elevator. I couldn't believe it. The coincidence was freaking terrifying. When I got to my office, my husband was just sitting in front of my desk. He got up to welcome me immediately I walked in. We hugged and we talked for a while. I asked him to buy a new phone on his way home, and he told me that he would do just that. He left, but something about his visit just felt off. A few days after that, I was home when my husband came back. I had prepared dinner for him, and there was a way he looked at me when he sat to eat. I couldn't decipher what it was, but the first question he asked me when he finally spoke took me by surprise. He asked if I saw Damien as a friend. My entire body got tense. I didn't know what to say. Then he added something that put my mind at ease. He said that he didn't think Damien saw me as a friend, that he felt Damien saw me more as a competition than a friend. I asked if he came to this conclusion by talking to Damien when he came looking for me at work that day. I laughed and told him not to worry about Damien, stating that he was a cool person. I also told him that whether Damien saw me as competition or as a friend, it didn't matter, because we weren't really close. Marcus finished his food, but his words didn't stop causing me unrest. When next I went to work, I kept looking at Damien and wondering what he could have said that would make my husband think that he saw me as competition. But while I was lost in thought, I got a message from my superior. He asked me to come meet him outside the company building. I thought that was very weird, because it was still work hours and he was supposed to be in his office, but I went regardless. On my way out, I met Damien and he asked me where I was going. I don't know why, but I didn't see the need to tell him the truth, so I lied. I told him that I needed some fresh air. He asked me if he could accompany me, and I told him that I needed to be alone for a little. He told me that he was available if I needed him, then I went outside. I met my boss in a restaurant and he seemed uneasy. He opened the conversation by telling me that he knew that I was having an affair with Damien. I was shocked by the fact that he knew. He advised me to break it off if I valued myself. That was all he said. Then he left me alone, sitting there in the restaurant. I was confused and I felt lost. How did my boss know that I was having an affair with Damien? And most importantly, why did he look so terrified? Nothing was making sense anymore to me. I wanted to make sense of everything, but most importantly, I was scared. I was terrified. If my boss knew that I was having an affair, how many people in the office knew? I honestly thought Damien and I were being extra careful, but I guess we weren't. I was a bit quiet after my conversation with my boss. I became worried, and as such, I didn't meet up with Damien for almost a week. He even confronted me about it, asking me what was going on, telling me that he was missing me. I told him that I had a lot on my mind, and that was when he grabbed my hand and told me that he felt like I was avoiding him. He looked terrifying to me at that point. I told him that I had a lot going on, and that I needed some time to process everything. Damien told me that I was getting proud because of the award dinner coming up. He told me that I thought I could fly away because I was the favorite to win the award for Top Executive of the Year. He told me that he would clip my wings. I didn't understand where all this rage was coming from. Did Damien actually like me at all? Or did he just see me as competition? I knew that if I didn't get the award, then Damien would be next in line. But I didn't think it meant that much to him. Neither did I think that he was bitter about me getting the award. I didn't understand what was happening. A few days later, I heard that my boss had resigned. I reached out to him because it was out of the blue and surprising. and he told me that Damien blackmailed him into resigning. I was so stunned when he told me this. He couldn't tell me what Damien had on him, but he warned me to be very careful of Damien because I had no idea what he was capable of. The next day, while I was in my office, Damien walked in and told me to reject the award and the promotion that came with it. The award night was just 2 days away. I was confused and asked him why he was being like that. He knew how hard I had worked, and when it was time for me to get my due, he was asking me to turn it down. He told me that if I didn't reject the award, then I'd regret it. He sent me a video right there, and I watched it. It was the video of us making love in his office. But he had edited the video so only my face was seen. I couldn't believe it. He was blackmailing me. I told him that I couldn't turn down the award because I deserved it. He laughed and told me that he enjoyed sleeping with me, but if I pushed him, then he would drag me down. He threatened to send the video to my husband if I didn't reject the video. He told me that I had until the morning of the award dinner to go tell our superiors that I didn't want the award. He left my office, and I was in utter shambles that day. I went home early, and my husband was there. I guess he noticed that I wasn't in the mood to talk, so he stayed quiet, simply watching me. The next morning I went to work, but I really didn't feel like going. I didn't talk to Damien throughout, and whenever he saw me, he'd tap his watch, telling me to act quickly. That day was horrifying to me. I just wanted it to be over. When I got home, I heard my husband in the showers, and I saw 2 phones on the bed. The first thought that came to mind was that my husband was cheating on me, and he was in the bathroom with his mistress. But then I recognized the second phone. It was his old one that he said got lost. When he came out, I asked him about it, and he told me that he found it the previous day. I wasn't in the mood for much argument, so I went to bed. In the morning, I dreaded going to work, so I lagged around the house, worried and confused. If I didn't go to reject the award and make sure it was Damien that was going to win it, then he would disgrace me. But after delaying for almost an hour, I went to work. On getting to the office, I saw police officers and IRS agents in the company. I was so confused, and I asked someone what was going on. Before they could even tell me, I saw Damien being led out in handcuffs. When he saw me, he started shouting at me, accusing me of being the one that exposed him. I had no idea what he was talking about, but he looked frantic. He was being arrested for tax fraud and embezzlement. I had no idea. He had been stealing from the company. I felt like the universe was on my side. I could now receive my award in peace. I felt so happy. The timing was completely perfect. But I couldn't seem to wrap my head around why Damien would think I was the one that sold him out. I didn't even know that he was committing these crimes. Work closed a little early that day because of the award dinner. I went home, freshened up. My husband offered to go with me, and I was more than happy. After all, I would have someone to be there with me when I won the award. He drove me to the venue, and we took a special table. As the event progressed, my husband kept a stern and unwavering face. He didn't look too impressed with everything that was going on. It was like he was waiting for something. I'm guessing my award. I was just as impatient and excited. The time for awards came, and I will never forget how epic it was when they called the category I was aiming for, Top Executive of the Year. The LED wall displayed the words and the award. The CEO of the company was the one handing out that award. I put my hands together like I was praying and began muttering words that I cannot even remember. Our CEO calmly called my name as the winner of that award, and I almost screamed for joy. My name appeared on the LED wall, and there was a round of applause from all over the hall. I slowly got up, looked at my husband. He was clapping and looking at me with a mysterious smile. I walked to the stage and received the award from my CEO. I was supposed to give an acceptance speech, but I didn't prepare any because I had been so worried about Damien blackmailing me. I held the award in both my hands, and just as I moved my mouth closer to the microphone, I heard my own voice on speaker. "What are you doing?" I hadn't said anything, so I was confused about where the voice was coming from. Then I heard Damien's voice telling me that the panties I gave him only turned him on, and that he needed something more tangible. I immediately looked back at the LED wall, and I saw the video Damien recorded in his office, and my heart stopped for a few seconds. Damien had been arrested, so how was it possible that the video was still playing? I shouted that they should turn it off, but no one was doing anything. I shouted into the microphones, but it wasn't working. I looked at the video playing, and it wasn't the edited one that Damien showed me in my office. This was the full video. It showed his face as well. Everyone was gasping and chattering in shock. Was Damien trying to ruin both of us since he was now going to jail? I was so confused. But then a recording of Damien bragging about the amount of times he's intimate with me began playing. He was talking to a buddy of his on the phone and telling him that I was so stupid that I allowed him to film us making love. He told his friend that he was going to use it to blackmail me so I wouldn't get the award and promotion, and that if I ever tried to stop having an affair with him, he'd blackmail me with the video as well. From all the details being dropped about Damien, it was clear that this was not his doing. Next, things that popped up on the screen were screenshots of my chat with Damien. I knew I deleted them, and I told Damien to delete them as well, so why was I seeing chats? There were conversations about me mocking my husband. I looked at the table where my husband was sitting, and he wasn't there. I saw him walking towards the exit door. I quickly ran off the stage and rushed out of the hall, following him. He was almost in the parking lot when I shouted his name. He paused and looked back at me. I didn't need a seer to tell me that everything that happened in the hall was my husband's handiwork. It had become clear. He wanted to embarrass Damien and he had done it to the fullest. I asked him how he could do this to me. I told him that I cheated on him. It was a problem between the two of us. So why did he have to embarrass me like that in front of my entire company? Even my CEO was present, and Marcus didn't care. He just ruined my reputation. He didn't say a word to me. He just threw a piece of clothing at me. It was my panties, the same one I gave to Damien in the hotel when he asked me for something to remember him by. I was speechless for a few seconds. I asked him how he had that. He told me that the IRS found it in Damien's office when they came to arrest him that morning. That was when it all made sense to me. Marcus chuckled and said that he honestly thought that it was going to be hard when he decided to teach me and Damien a lesson, but that it was very simple. He told me that he knew that I was cheating after he came out of the bathroom before me, and a text from Damien popped up on my phone. It was the text about the video he made, and it was very vulgar and made him so angry, but he just got dressed and left the house. The day he called me from Damien's phone was when he hacked Damien's phone. After that, he got the video, began going through chats and recorded calls. But he wasn't expecting to see proof of embezzlements and tax fraud, and that just made everything so satisfying. All he needed to do was wait for the right time to tip his friend who worked in the IRS. And he remembered seeing us talk about the panties in our chat. So he asked his friend to get him the panties during their raid. My husband was about to walk away when I fell on my knees and told him that he had destroyed me because that wasn't just revenge, that was public execution. He looked at me and told me that he was not done. Update. Of course my husband wasn't done with me. He divorced me, but it was what he took from me during the divorce that broke me. Before we got married, I convinced Marcus to sign a prenup. I was a corporate woman and I was all about owning assets, so I honestly thought that I had more to lose in a divorce if it ever happened. So I wanted to protect my assets. It's not like my husband was any less. He was a tech genius with significant wealth. But I guess I was just thinking that I had more to lose. The prenup meant that if we got divorced, there would be no division of our individual assets, only marital assets. But Marcus added a clause that if any of us were to cheat, then that would void the cheater's claim to marital assets. I don't know why I wasn't thinking about that when I was busy running around with Damien. I never thought in a million years that I would cheat on Marcus. I was so in love with him that the mere thought of it felt like treason. Now my husband pushed to enforce the clause during the divorce, and he made sure to take away every joint asset we owned as a married couple. That included the house as well. And you would think that I would be happy to have my personal assets, but I don't have them, because apparently Damien had been stealing from me without my knowledge. I was empty, and I was hoping that I would be able to keep something from the divorce, but I got nothing. And now I barely have anything to my name. I lost everything because of Marcus. I was fired by my CEO himself, and I was even called in by the IRS for questioning to see if I had anything to do with Damien embezzling company funds, since I was the closest one to him. My reputation is in the mud, completely destroyed, so finding a job is almost impossible. I had to move back to my father's house, and my father says I'm too much of an embarrassment to the family name. I still think Marcus went too far. Until now, I haven't recovered. We should have handled things like a family, behind closed doors. But he decided to air our dirty laundry outside for everyone to see. It's just so hurtful that Marcus could do this to me. I'm broken.